Hello, this is TB30. Stand by. And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening. Welcome to the April 15th meeting of the Livermore City Council. I call the meeting to order. If you'll please join me. Oh, roll call, please.
Councilmember Barrientos is absent for the record. Councilmember Browning?
Here.
Councilmember Kick is absent for the record. Vice Mayor Carling?
Here.
Mayor Marchand?
Here. If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and I'd ask your indulgence this evening. Councilmember Barrientos is not here tonight. His mother passed away, and in honor and recognition of his mother and her contributions, I would like to ask for a moment of silence as we begin the meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's move on to proclamations and presentations. We have this is recognizing Tri-Valley Haven during the Sexual Assault Awareness Month. This will be presented to Christine Dillman, by the way, as a great event, the groundbreaking gala that we had Saturday night. So with that, whereas in 2001, the National Sexual Violence Resource Center launched the first Sexual Assault Awareness Month to raise awareness and promote education about sexual violence, end victim blaming, show support for victims and survivors, and share the message that prevention is possible. And whereas building connected communities, whether in neighborhoods, workplaces, campuses, organizations, or even online spaces, can help reduce the likelihood of sexual abuse, assault, and harassment. These communities can work together to support survivors and educate the public about what can be done to prevent sexual assault. And whereas for over 45 years, Tri-Valley Haven's shelters have provided immediate safety, respite, and support services, including counseling for victims of sexual assault by offering a safe environment for survivors to talk confidentially about their trauma and individual situations and provide guidance and support for those who are experiencing and recovering from trauma. And whereas communities can help reduce sexual violence through prevention education, increased awareness, holding perpetrators who commit acts of violence responsible for their actions, and helping survivors connect with services. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Livermore recognizes Tri-Valley Haven during Sexual Assault Awareness Month and thanks the staff and volunteers for their efforts to create safe environments and households without violence.
Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Tri-Valley Haven does run the only rape crisis center in the region, and we just really appreciate the support. We do have an event coming up for Denim Day on April 24th. It's a vigil and a march, and I'll leave those flyers for you. And thank you.
I'd also like to point out that in the 5 cities of the Tri-Valley, there are 5 shelters for the disadvantaged, the homeless, and the abused. All 5 of those are in Livermore. And that's not, there isn't need in other communities. There's need in all the communities. But I'm very proud of the fact that Livermore has stepped up to make a difference and to help those that are in the greatest need. So thank you, Christine, and all the great work that Tri-Valley Haven does, and all of the other folks that work so hard in our community, Shepherd's Gate, Goodness Village, and all the others. So thank you all. Okay, the city clerk is going to explain how to participate in tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council agenda provides opportunities for the public to participate in the meeting by addressing the City Council in the following ways. For non-agendized items, the public has the opportunity during open forum to address the city council on any item of interest that is within the city council's subject matter jurisdiction. For agendized items, the public can address the city council on each item of business it considers when the mayor opens public comment and should be focused on that particular item. Please note, a speaker is not required to answer any questions from the city council, and the city council is not required to answer questions from the public. However, the mayor has the discretion to ask staff to address the speaker's comments when a council member believes it is relevant to a particular business item. When participating in tonight's meeting, one comment may be given per person per item. For consent calendar items, one comment may be given for the entire consent calendar. If consent calendar items are pulled for discussion by the city council, a speaker will be allowed one comment on the items pulled for discussion and a separate comment for the remaining consent calendar. To provide comment, please fill out and turn in a speaker card found at the entrance of city council chambers. Speakers will be announced in the order received. Once public comment opens, each participant's name will be announced and their 3 minutes will begin once at the lectern. The mayor will announce the conclusion of public comment period after comments have been voiced into the record. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, do we have anyone with wishes to speak at the open forum?
We do. The first speaker is David McWiggin, followed by Shirley Lewandowski, followed by Orlando Alfaro.
Have you ever wondered how predators keep finding other predators, how they keep helping each other and get away with it for so long when the evidence in retrospect was so obvious? Just how Jeffrey Epstein able to do it? Well, how is a man like Officer Black, who slept with a woman when she was under the influence and couldn't consent, find a man like Captain Young, who thinks it's okay for police officers to sleep with women when they're under the influence and can't consent? How does the officer like Officer Black, who had sex with a woman and filmed the encounter without their permission, how does he find a man like Captain Young, who thinks, well, it's okay for a police officer to have sex with someone and film the encounter without their permission? How does a man like Officer Black, who used his position as a Livermore police officer to sexually exploit a teenage girl, find a mayor like Johnny Marchant, who, knowing the officer slept with a woman when she was under the influence, knowing he had sex with a woman and filmed the encounter without her permission, knowing he used his position as a Livermore police officer to sexually exploit a teenage girl, comes to the conclusion that the best use of the people's money, Livermore's money, is to help Officers Black's defense? How does a man like Captain Young, who thinks sleeping with someone who's under the influence is okay behavior for a police officer, who thinks having sex with someone and filming the encounter without their consent is okay behavior, a man who did more than any other to help Officer Black have the opportunity to sexually exploit a teenage girl, find a man like Johnny Marchant, who, knowing he considers sleeping with someone who, when they're under the influence, as okay behavior, knowing that he knows when they have sex with someone and filming an encounter without their permission is considered okay behavior, knowing he enabled Officer Black to use his position as a Livermore police officer to sexually exploit a teenage girl, knowing all this, comes to the conclusion that this is the man to set the moral direction for the entire department. Let's make him chief. How is it that predators keep finding each other, and helping each other, and keep getting away with it when the evidence was there from the start? You're a lying, corrupt criminal, Johnny, and people are starting to find out.
The next speaker is Shirley Lewandowski, followed by Orlando Alfaro, followed by Marty Sutton.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. My name is Shirley Lewandowski from Dublin. I'm just here to give you an update on the progress of Senate Bill 1193 that was introduced by State Senator Carolyn Menjivar for banning the use of leaded fuel in all of California. Last week, it passed the Transportation Committee, and it was great because it was 14-3, which was predominantly a huge win. And now it's on to the appropriations and then eventually to the Senate floor and eventually to the other side of the aisle, which is the Assembly. I am hoping that this city will also send a letter to Senator Carolyn Menjivar in support of her bill, the same way as the Bay Area Air Quality Management District has done, as well as the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors has done. I hope that will be coming soon. And at some point, I hope the agenda for the update on the airport development plans will be coming soon. Thank you.
By the way, shortly, in a few more minutes, we'll be talking about minimum standards, 5.3, part of the consent calendar. So it'll be also available. So we're talking about that tonight.
The next speaker is Orlando Alfaro, followed by Marty Sutton.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Orlando Alfaro. I'm a field rep for the Carpenters Union. I'm out of Local 713. I represent over 3,700 members. I've been in the union for 9 years. I come here today, speak on the value of our membership and make sure that our members receive the proper prevailing wage and area standards. Carpenters deserve to earn fair wage, retirement, and medical benefits that help a worker provide and prosper not only for themselves, but family as well. Healthcare is important to be able to provide for their families. I'm grateful to have this benefit because as a parent, when your child is ill, one worries and wants to take them in for a checkup right away. Without it, other situations would be more difficult. Apprenticeship. Being a debt-free education guarantees we will continue to have proficient, expert, and certified members that will be able to complete high-quality projects on time, and the number one thing, safety. Local hire. It would benefit both the workers and the community in many ways. Carbon emissions by reducing vehicle miles driven by the construction workers. It would lead to more construction workers to be more involved with the community with events like this one. It would also make work and life balance for families in this county. Being a husband and a father, it has given me the opportunity to spend more time with my family, being able to coach my son's soccer team or do whatever activity my wife wants to get into. Being a member of the Carpenters has given me all these tools from the education starting as an apprentice to journeyman, helping me with being able to provide with healthcare for my family as well with the local hire to keep me close to home. I think everyone working under these agreements deserve the opportunity to earn these same benefits. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Marty Sutton.
Good evening. My name is Marty Sutton. I'm the board chair for Tri-Valley Nonprofit Alliance. Tri-Valley Nonprofit Alliance is celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year. We were founded in 2014 as a 501c3 organization with a mission to provide advocacy, collaboration, and education to strengthen our nonprofit organization, enriching our communities. I'm here tonight because we have two very important events that are coming up in May that we want everyone in the community to be invited to. The first one is on May 2nd. We will be hosting the Anti-Poverty Collaboratives Forum on Housing in the Tri-Valley. We will hear from Michelle Starrott, who's the Deputy Director of the Alameda County Community Development Agency, and Jonathan Russell, Director of Alameda County Health, Housing, and Homelessness, where they will aim to address the urgent need for housing solutions for seniors, transition-aged youth, people with disabilities, homeless, and the nearly homeless. After their presentations, we will have a panel discussion with CityServe, Open Heart Kitchen, Goodness Village, Sunflower Hill, Interfaith Housing, and Tri-Valley Haven. The event will be held at the Bankhead Theater from 10 to 12 and is free for everyone. Please register at tvnpa.org. Again, it's May 2nd from 10 to 12 at the Bankhead Theater, and it is free. Our second event is May 15th. We are excited to have Dan Pelota screen his documentary titled Uncharitable. After this thought-provoking documentary, we will have a sit-down with Dan and talk about a new approach to philanthropy. The screening of Uncharitable and its discussion isn't just for our nonprofit community. This event is for everyone that wants to have an impact in our community, including donors and businesses. The nonprofit sector has significant challenges, and there is an urgent need for everyone for change in not only how we fund nonprofits, but also how we support our nonprofit employees. We need to pay our nonprofit employees livable wages. They are providing the support that our community needs, and we need to have an open discussion about how we pay them. If you want to be a part of this dynamic and positive change in philanthropy, please join us on May 15th at the Bankhead Theater at 5 o'clock. This event is a ticketed event, so there is an early bird pricing right now. The early bird pricing ends on the 26th of this month. And again, that's May 15th at 5 o'clock at the Bankhead Theater. And you can learn more about TVNPA and all our events at tvnpa.org. Thank you.
And that concludes open forum.
Okay, I'm going to close the open forum, bring it back to the council. Next coming up is the consent calendar. These are typically routine items that are usually passed with a single motion. Is there anybody that wishes to pull an item for discussion? Pardon me? We have to pull 5.12 because we have to, it's kind of a different, so we'll pull for 5.12. As far as the consent, there's a couple items here. Let's see, as I mentioned before, we have the minimum standards that we're considering for the airport. And I'll come back to that one. Let's see, the wastewater treatment or the water reclamation plant, the UV. We're using the reclaimed water. We're using ultraviolet light to disinfect that as the primary disinfectant. And I believe we're using chloramine as the secondary disinfectant. Okay, so we're using just straight hypochlorite because we don't have to worry about the disinfection byproducts. Okay, but what's really cool about this is that we're City of Livermore using 25% less potable water because we're using reclaimed water for a lot of our uses. So it's extremely valuable. And as some of you may remember, when you drive by the treatment plant, there's the murals. Those murals are part of the Farallones Marine Sanctuary Award for Environmental Stewardship, because those murals recognize that what we do in that plant protects the animals and the wildlife in the oceans that are pictured on those murals. With the 5.9, the controller cabinets, are those going to be anti-graffiti coated?
This is Paul Spence, your Assistant City Manager. Yes, sir, they will be anti-graffiti
Okay,
coated.
yeah, because I was hoping for either stainless steel or at least we can get, and I know there's glare issues with the stainless, but with the anti-graffiti coatings, if we can't have murals, we'll have the anti-graffiti coating on there. And military equipment, we had the required public hearing on that. But what's really cool is we're bringing in some really interesting technology now that unfortunately is classed as military equipment, but we're using it for public safety and to protect the community. I actually saw the video over the weekend at the Innovation Fair that was put on by the Quest Science Center. And it was a really cool thing. We had a drone out there and they were searching for a suspect, and we have heat sensors in this drone. So we found the guy hiding on a roof. Now, there's no way we would have caught him otherwise, but because we had this equipment, we were able to use it and to use that to protect our community. So, and by the way, we have received no complaints from the community in the use of this what's identified as military equipment. So I think that's shows what's important is it's the policies behind the equipment more than the equipment itself, and we have the right policies in place. So with 5.3, and then I'll ask for a motion.
Mayor,
Yes.
we do have public comment for it.
Oh,
For the,
on,
for
for the
items on
consent
the-
calendar? Oh, okay. Okay, let me take public comment then.
The first speaker is Donna Caban, followed by Felicia Zyomik, followed by Shirley Lewandowski.
Good evening. Please direct the FBO to offer unleaded AV fuel before the end of 2024. Please modify the ordinance to read, minimum standards now require the FBO to offer unleaded aviation fuel by December 12th, 2024. The negative effects of leaded AV fuel on health and development have long been established and proven repeatedly. There is no reason to delay beyond 2024. UL 94 is available and insurable, It is certified and approved by the FAA. It is sold in 10 airports in California and 35 across the nation. An empty tank is available at LVK, and Miss Yu at the Air Board emailed me that no comment period is necessary for this air permit. I'm urging each of you to directly email Miss Yu to encourage her efforts to expedite the air permit for the sale of UL-94 at LVK. Why the urgency? The health and safety of our children is at risk. Dr. Anthopoulos of NYC School of Medicine states, children living near the airports with piston aircraft exhibited from 2.1 to 4.4% higher lead blood levels than children living at greater distances. Dr. Hoyer, a scientist for 30 years at the EPA, confirms 3 new studies show children who live near airports where piston engine aircraft operate have higher blood levels than children who live farther away. How do these studies apply to the Tri-Valley? Residents of Somerset, Sage, Montage, and Isabel-specific neighborhoods all live within a 1.5-mile radius of LVK. The evidence proving leaded AV fuel causes serious health issues is clear and undisputable. UL-94 is safe, certified, and an empty tank exists at LVK. No Air Board comment period is necessary. Please change the date on the ordinance and direct the FBO to start selling UL-94 before the end of 2024. The City Council could and should lead the way in protecting our community from leaded aviation fuel. Waiting is not a solution to the urgent health and safety issue. If the health of our children is further compromised by leaded aviation fuel, what future do we have? Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Felicia Ziomek, followed by Shirley Lewandowski, followed by Jean King.
This is item number 5.3 also. Good evening, Mayor Marchand and City Council members. Thank you for initiating the ordinance amending the airport rules and regulations to require the fixed-base operator to provide unleaded aviation fuel by December 2025, over 1.5 years from now. However, the provision of unleaded fuel needs to occur quicker. The CDC states, quote, no safe blood level in children has been identified. Even low levels of lead in blood have been shown to affect IQ, ability to pay attention, and academic achievement. It also causes stunting of skeletal growth in children and delays fracture healing. In October 2023, the EPA released their final finding that lead emissions from aircraft engines that operate on leaded fuel cause or contribute to air pollution that endangers public health and welfare. The half-life of lead, which refers to the time it takes for the concentration to decrease by half after the exposure has stopped, varies from about a month in blood, 1 to 1.5 months in soft tissue, and about 25 to 30 years in bone. We're told the city is waiting for the Bay Area Air Quality Management District to issue a 30-day comment period, but Ms. Becky Yu at Bay Area Air Quality Management District states that is not necessary. UL-94 is safe, certified, and an empty tank exists at Livermore Airport. Please provide an update on the timing of permitting this empty fuel tank that can start to be used now. Thank you.
The next speaker is Shirley Lewandowski, followed by Jean King, followed by Alan.
Hello again. I'm here to support what Donna Cobain and Felicia Ziomek has just said. And I would like to also again remind you that the EPA has said leaded fuel is a public health issue. And Livermore is one of the airports that still sells that. And I want to remind you again, the reason why this is so personal for me is because a 4-year-old boy last year that lived at Arlington Road, which is downwind from the runway, did test positive for lead in his blood. There was no lead in the pipes. There was no lead in the paint in their house, and the family only drank bottled water. I know regardless of what you think, Mayor Marchand, that is the truth. And anyway, I just encourage the city to please expedite whatever you can to start using UL 94. It's available. It's the start of our effort to do and transition to unleaded fuel. There's no reason why we can't start that sooner this year. It's ready, and it's just for you to order it. So thank you again, and again, on behalf of the little boy who has since moved away, his challenges going forward is going to be very difficult, both neurologically and physiologically. So please, on behalf of him, please expedite sooner using UL 194, and then you GAMI 100. Thank you.
The next speaker is Jean King, followed by Alan.
Good evening, I'm Jean King, and I'd like to speak on 5.2, and I'm speaking here for Friends of Livermore. Friends of Livermore has authorized me to speak about the 2 properties that the city is planning to annex and rezone, and they are out by the airport. Now, these have agricultural possibilities, and usually Friends of Livermore wants very much to preserve agriculture and open space. But because of the location of these 2 properties, which are very close to the airport, and it's a very good place for them to be, and they have not been used for agriculture for some years, and they have some contamination. And you're also saving some of the floodplain and not developing that. Friends of Livermore is endorsing your idea to make this change. And one of the reasons it's good is because of their location next to the airport is very good. And the fact that we do need to have some more industrial area in Livermore. We need to do our arena numbers for housing. And when you increase housing, if you want to keep a 1-to-1 balance between workers and jobs, then you need to have some more jobs there. And this will have a place for more jobs. And so you will not need to move the urban growth boundary out by Greenville, because these 2 areas are within the urban growth boundary. And so they do not violate that. Okay, and then that I'm speaking for Friends of Livermore. The second one I want to talk about is 5.3, the airport, and I'm speaking only for myself. I agree with the issues that all the previous speakers have said, that it is very important not to have lead and not to be contaminating our children. And so I do urge you to move forward on that project also. So thank you very much.
The next speaker is Alan.
Mayor and council members, I'm a Livermore resident. For 5.3, I am in favor of stricter and quicker bans on leaded fuel. For 5.7, I at one point did ask a librarian what they needed in Livermore, and they said they wanted more available ebooks. Apparently, ebooks are expensive, but they increase accessibility of reading, especially for younger audiences who always have an electronic device on hand. And I hope the council will continue to approve all such requests, although admittedly it has a significant price tag. For 5.10, given the expense of military equipment and the fact that Livermore is not in a war zone, I trust the council will continue to only approve and suggest purchases that address the town's safety. Now, to my mind, a pressing safety issue is keeping drunk drivers off the road. And I know Livermore officers have been recognized by Mothers Against Drunk Driving for their previous efforts, which I believe especially commendable, since it's probably no easy chore pulling a potentially belligerent drunk driver off the road and testing them. And trying to save them because they're only a danger to themselves and others. I would like to see more police personnel assigned downtown during hours of peak risk. Perhaps officers could patrol on foot, or maybe we can employ a community watch program that could provide breathalyzer tests to those who indulge who are now considering driving home. These safety personnel could help residents make informed decisions and arrange other transportation if necessary. Now, all that is to say, I can draw a pretty direct line between this crime prevention program and community safety. What I'm less sure of is how armored cars and military grade ordinances increase our safety, unless the lab is working on something that could cause a zombie apocalypse.
That concludes public comment.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to close the public comment period for the consent calendar. Are there any comments from the council? Councilmember Branning?
Thank you. I just wanted to ask staff a couple of questions just to clarify. It was brought up on 5.3 that Miss Yu stated that the air quality district would waive the public comment period. Did the air quality district waive the public comment period for Livermore?
Councilmember Brenning, this is your city manager, Mariana Marasheva. There was a required 10-day public comment period that has been put in place by the Air Quality Management District and expired. As a matter of fact, staff received a follow-up correspondence from the district earlier today, clarifying the process to obtain the permit. And in that correspondence, as of today, we were told that it will take the district another 2 weeks. Actually, they said a couple of weeks for us to get the permit.
And along with that, have we been in frequent communication with Air Quality District in regards to this?
Much more than frequent, almost daily.
And with that, we've asked them to go as quickly as possible, correct?
In every single communication, which is documented via email, we are asking to go as quickly as possible. And again, the latest email indicated that in a couple of weeks, we should get a permit.
Thank you. So, I appreciate the urgency from the outside. It can always look like things go slowly in government. It does take time to get things done. I also believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the date that we put in for December 25 was based on our analysis. I believe I asked you at the beginning of all of this to clarify. It was based on our analysis of what the worst case scenario would be. In the best case scenario, do we believe we can get this done sooner than December 25?
We certainly hope that it will be done sooner. We have been, our acting airport manager, Benny Stuth, has been in frequent communications, not only with the Air Quality Management District, but also our FBO, the fixed-based operator, Five Rivers, to expedite the provisions. And once to expedite the provision of unleaded fuel. Once the permit is received, hopefully within 2 weeks, it will take the FBO a couple of months to get ready for dispensing. So hopefully we're 3 to 4 months from making the fuel available at the airport.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify all of that. So we are going at the fastest pace we can. I believe, from my understanding, Five Rivers is very interested in going also as quickly as possible. So it is simply a matter of working through the regulatory agencies, getting all of the approvals, and then getting all of the equipment set up. I know that, like I said, from the outside, it can often look like things are going slowly, but they're actually going incredibly quickly for the way the government works. And staff has been doing well over the minimum. They've been bending over backwards, trying to make sure that this happens as fast as possible. And from everything I've heard from Five Rivers, from staff, that we're looking at having unleaded fuel offered in the very near future. So I appreciate the advocacy that you've had on this issue. It is moving along as fast as it can go, and it should be, the option should be available within the year. We do have the extra padding of time in case something goes terribly awry, but nothing I've seen indicates that we will need it. So thank you, staff, for working so hard on this issue.
Vice Mayor? Okay. Okay. Comments tonight. We heard that the representative of, and by the way, it's not our government that's working slowly. It's some of the other ones, like BLCMD.
They're still
yeah.
part of our government, just
Yeah.
not the city.
Yeah, but Livermore government is different because we're working diligently to get this done. So I also talked with Becky Yu from the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, and I asked her, well, gee, what's the delay? What's the problem? And so they're is in fact a public participation period, which ended April 8th. It also, our airport manager has also spoken to them, and there is a 120-day period from the time that they received the permit. And I believe it was February 8th, we acknowledged the receipt of the application. They have 30 days at BACMD to review the application to see if it is complete. After 30 days, they then have 90 days to process that application. So they concluded their public they received the permit on February 8th, and they acknowledged that the public participation period is over, but they still have another 60 or 70 days before they can, that's their timeline to complete the permit. So we're moving as fast as we can. As was mentioned, it's going to take a couple of months of construction once that permit is approved. But as I confirmed with Becky Yu, they have 120 days to process that permit that they acknowledged receipt of on February 8th. So for her to say that there was no public comment period, there was a public participation period, they call it something, they call it a public participation period, not a public comment period. So there was some semantics there. But the bottom line is they have 120 days to process this, and we can't do anything until we get that permit. Or I should say, Five Rivers can't do anything until they get the permit. So we've been working diligently to get this done. And we're moving as fast as we can. So it's unfortunate that that the Independent has become so focused on creating these divisive false narratives that they're willing to compromise the truth and their journalistic integrity to do so. In the March 28th article by Larry Altman, the article falsely stated that, and I quote, "Five Rivers Aviation currently only sells leaded fuel." That is absolutely incorrect. The only reason to print a false narrative like that is to incite the community, to say that Five Rivers only sells leaded fuel. That is absolutely false. Over 2/3 of the fuel that they sell is unleaded. It's unleaded aviation fuel. So in the 9 Bay Area counties, there are currently 18 general aviation airports and 4 commercial airports that sell leaded fuel. So they sell just like Livermore. And if Livermore were to stop selling leaded fuel tomorrow, there would still be 21 other airports in the 9 Bay Area counties selling leaded fuel. And the pilots would be buying the leaded fuel from them. So Five Rivers does in fact sell unleaded aviation fuel. But the problem is it's got to be a regional effort for it to make any difference. And that's why, yes, we do in fact support the legislation that's being proposed at the state. But unless it's a regional solution, it's not going to accomplish anything. Now, I'm heartened in the fact that there's a new editor, David Jen, and he has said that he is committed to journalistic integrity. And it is my fervent hope that he can restore some semblance of integrity, because we're not getting that right now. And it's inciting the community to produce articles that are patently false. And I'm sorry, I'm a little bit worked up on this, but this fires up the community and it's wrong. So with that, thank you very much for listening. But with that, I'm going to ask that we approve the consent calendar with the exception of 5.15. We will move that to after 6.3, I believe.
Mayor, 5.12.
Yeah, 5.12.
I'll move the consent calendar from 5.1 to 5.11.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Okay, and we'll consider 5.12 later. Moving on to 6.1, a hearing to modify the statewide community infrastructure program, the SKIP, allowing the financing of impact fees and public facilities through community facilities districts.
Honorable Mayor Marchand, members of the City Council, this is once again your City Manager, Mariana Marasheva. Item 6.1 will be presented by Debbie Salgado, Supervising Civil Engineer in the Community Development Department. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and council members, for your patience as we work through technological challenges. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I will be presenting tonight's item on the statewide community infrastructure program. The statewide community infrastructure program is offered by the California Statewide Communities Development Authority to provide an additional tool to finance development projects. SKIP offers two programs. The first, projects across the state are either pooled together and bonds are issued to finance impact fees and infrastructure. Or SKIP can form a project-specific CFD for much larger projects. Oops, sorry. Since 2003, the program has issued over 1 billion in bonds for over 381 projects across the state, of which 347 million have been for CFD bond financing. Bonds are issued by the California Statewide Community Development Authority, which is a joint powers authority established by the League of California Cities and the California State Association of Counties. The bonds are sold and repaid over 30 years through assessments on participating properties. Currently, the program has 130 agency members. Livermore joined back in 2005. At that time, only commercial projects were authorized to participate in the program. The updated resolution for your consideration tonight expands the program for use on Livermore projects by including CFDs and residential projects. Some benefits of the program include competitive financing for development projects, financing for both small and large projects of various sizes, and it provides an expert team of professionals to administer the program and thereby freeing up Livermore staff time. Tonight, staff recommends the City Council conduct a public hearing and then adopt an amended and restated resolution to modify participation in the statewide community infrastructure program. Staff is available for questions.
Thank you. Do you have any speakers?
No public comment.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. Any questions or comments from the council? Okay, can I have a motion?
I'll move staff's recommendations.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Branning, seconded by Vice Mayor Carling. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Thank you. On to 6.2.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, this is again your City Manager, Mariana Marasheva. Item 6.2 is going to be presented by Amy Walker, Human Resources Management Analyst in the Community Development Department. And the title is before you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. So, good evening, Mayor, Council, and public. My name is Amy Walker, and I'm the Human Services Management Analyst for the Human Services Division. The item before you tonight is a public hearing for the fiscal year 2024-25 Annual Action Plan and for a public hearing on a new Section 108 guaranteed loan for the construction of Tri-Valley Havens Emergency Shelter. I'm going to start out tonight by reviewing HUD's three main national objectives for the Community Development Block Grant, which is also known as the CDBG program. The three objectives are they need to benefit low and moderate income persons, assist in prevention or elimination of slum and blight, or meet an urgent need that poses an immediate threat to health and safety. HUD also has priority needs and goals for the program, which are creating economic opportunities, creating suitable living environments, and providing decent, affordable housing. All CDBG-funded programs must meet at least one of the national objectives and work towards meeting the established goals for the program. As an entitlement city, we must make sure that the annual action plan identifies the city's goals and priorities established in our 5-year consolidated plan to serve Livermore's low-income residents. The city is also a member of the Alameda County Home Consortium, and we receive an annual allocation for home funds through the county. This is a separate process with the county, but it runs parallel with our CDBG process. So I'm going to go over briefly the timeline for our grant process and our action plan this year. So we started with the grant application workshop in December of 2023. And then the deadline for submissions of the grant applications were January 19th, 2024. We received 26 applications from 19 agencies this year, and the request of grant funding was for $1,576,965. At the February 13th, 2024 Human Services Commission meeting, all grant applicants were asked to make presentations to the commission about their program and answer any questions that commission might have about the programs. The Human Services Commission made their final grant recommendations at the March 12th, 2024 Human Service meeting. And today we're here for the required public hearing and council approval of the action plan. So due to federal budgeting delays, HUD has not released their final allocation amounts for 24-25 yet. The amounts before you tonight are based on last year's historical allocations. The estimated CDBG entitlement for 24-25 is $404,865. And for home, it is $148,123. The city will also utilize $30,000 of unallocated fiscal year 22-23 CDBG funds towards projects. The action plan and the grant awards, except for the Section 108 loans, which are on a fixed repayment schedule, will be increased or decreased proportionately from the estimated amounts once the final allocation is received this year. So the 24-25 action plan also includes a new Section 108 guaranteed loan for the Tri-Valley Haven Emergency Shelter Project in an amount not to exceed $1.2 million. Section 108 loans provide CDBG entitlement communities with the opportunity to leverage their annual grant allocations to access low-cost, flexible financing for larger projects using for larger projects that meet CDBG objectives. The Section 108 loan would be repaid over 20 years and allow the city to close the funding or to help close the funding gap on the project. The total amount of Section 108 guaranteed loan funds is expected to be made available to use for their construction in 24-25. So tonight, the Human Service Commission and staff are recommending that the City Council adopt a resolution approving the 24-25 annual action plan and authorizing the submittal to HUD and Alameda County. And we are asking for authorization for the submittal of a final Section 108 loan application to HUD for the Tri-Valley Emergency Shelter Project in the amount not to exceed $1.2 million. Authorizing the city manager to accept the 108 guaranteed loan if approved by HUD. Authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute all documents and agreements with HUD and any subgrantees related to the action plan or the Section 108 loan. And authorizing the city manager to take whatever actions are necessary and appropriate to carry out the intent of this resolution. At the conclusion of this public hearing, consent item 5.12, allocation and appropriation of the fiscal year 24-25 grant recommendation should also be considered for approval. And that is the end of my presentation. Is there any questions?
Okay, do we have any speakers?
No public comment.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. Questions from the council? Councilmember Brandon.
Thank you. Just a couple of small things. So first of all, since we do have representatives from some of our providers, particularly Tri-Valley Haven here, I just want to thank them for all they do. This loan, I think, is a great opportunity for them and absolutely needed. I do have a question on the 108 loans. We have, is it 3 outstanding currently? Is that correct?
So we have
Or
2, and then last month I came back to pay down 1 on Hageman Farms. So we only have 2 years remaining on that loan. So for the next 2 years, we'll have 3 Section 108 loans, and then it will drop down back to 2.
Okay, and what's the sunset date on the other loan? The third one, do you know? If not, if you can send it
You know,
to
I
us.
don't know off the top of my head on the it's access,
Yeah,
that we have another Section 108. I apologize on that.
this is why I'm supposed to send my questions ahead of time. I didn't send that one. So if you can send us, if you could send me
Yeah,
the information
yeah.
on, just when the sunset date for that would be. No, I think this is great. I really appreciate the work. It's very restricted what you can use these funds for. So for people who don't know, CDGB and home funds are incredibly restrictive on where they can be allotted. For a long time, I think the city wasn't very creative in how we use these, and they weren't reaching the maximum number of people. And I think you've done an excellent job in the past several years of really expanding the program, getting it to where it needs to be, and finding projects and using the 108 loans just in great ways to really help our community and help those in need. So I wanted to thank you, say I appreciate it, and have seen the work and change that's happened in the past several years with this. So thank you.
Okay, comments?
Yeah, thanks very much for the report. I appreciate the work that's gone into this and figuring out all the worthy people that are deserving of some of these funds. You mentioned that the CDBG funding, we don't know, we haven't received that yet. Any sense of, I mean, you have a number of 434,000 and something in there, any sense of?
We do not have any sense. From what I have heard, the budget has been approved, but it has not, HUD has not released the numbers to us yet.
Do we expect it to change much? You
I
know,
have,
one
we
way
have
or
not been told
another?
any indication.
Okay, well, let's just keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, it generally doesn't.
Okay,
So we're hoping it won't.
perfect. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Okay, and again, I certainly appreciate the work that the staff and our Human Services Commission does. And of course, you served on that as well. And maybe that's why things have been a little more focused, but sincerely appreciate the great work that's being done throughout the organization. So with that, I'd be willing to entertain a motion.
I'll move staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Carling, seconded by Councilmember Branding. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to 5.12, that was on the consent calendar. And now that 6.3 has been passed, do I have a motion on 5.12?
I'll move 5.12.
Okay, we already had the public comment for this when it was on the consent calendar.
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Carling. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, and moving on to, I believe we're at 7 point, oh, and I'm sorry, 7.1.
6.3.
6.3, wait a minute,
Weeds.
I lost my place. Oh, yeah, 6.3, weed abatement.
Honorable Mayor Marchand and members of the City Council, this is your City Manager, Mariana Marasheva. Item 6.3 will be presented by Fire Marshal Ryan Rucker. Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Marchand and Council. On March 11, 2024, the City Council adopted Resolution Number 2024-030, which advises parcel owners of the need to abate hazardous debris and vegetation. Abatement standards have been mailed out to owners of record, current owners, occupants, posted conspicuously on properties in cases where a mailing address was insufficient. Property owners can avoid hazardous abatement program enforcement by completing abatement work in accordance with guidelines or protest the need to abate hazardous situations at this public hearing. The cost incurred for nuisance abatement and any assessments will be confirmed by the council at a future meeting. Staff recommends that the City Council consider any and all protests, and if the council find it appropriate, adopt a resolution overruling protests and direct staff to proceed with necessary weed abatement on all parcels as required. Staff is available for questions.
Okay, do we have any public comment?
No public comments.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. Any discussion from the council? Questions, comments? Do you have a motion?
I'll move staff recommendation.
Second.
Got a motion, just see how much play we have up here.
We're just trading off back and forth.
Okay. Motion made by Vice Mayor Carling, seconded by Councilmember Branning. There's no discussion on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, matters for consideration, 7.1. This is the resolution adopting a 180-day wait period to hire a retired annuitant, Steve Stewart.
Mayor Marchand, members of the City Council, this is again your City Manager, Mariana Marasheva. Item 7.1 will be presented by Kristen Hilton, Senior Human Resources Analyst, and as of tonight, also Acting Human Resources Manager.
Oh,
Thank you.
congratulations. So everything's your fault now.
The staff side of the room is the ones who all laughed.
The hire of retired annuitant Stephen Stewart as a special projects coordinator without the 180-day waiting period between his retirement date and the first day of post-retirement employment in accordance with Government Code Section 7522.56 of the Public Employees Retirement Law. Stephen Stewart retired as the Assistant Community Development Director on December 29th, 2023, and was the planning manager for 7 years. Due to current division vacancies and an ongoing high-level complex projects in the planning division, the hiring of Mr. Stewart as a special projects coordinator will allow the division to continue to deliver services as Mr. Stewart has the experience, familiarity, and skill to work on these complex projects, which would allow for a continuity of operations. Mr. Stewart's experience and skill will also allow for training and knowledge transfer to the new planning manager when that position is filled. As provided by the code, Mr. Stewart did not receive any retirement-related incentive to retire. And in closing, staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution approving the hiring of retired annuitant Stephen Stewart in accordance with the Government Code Section 7522.56 of the Public Employees Retirement Law. That's the end of my presentation, and staff is available for questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comment?
No public comments been received.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. Any discussion, questions?
Just a quick comment. Welcome back, Steve. And if people are wondering if Livermore is a great place to work, he retired all of 4 months ago, and is back already. So just tells you how wonderful it is to work for us. So anyone looking for a great job, I recommend Livermore.
I appreciate the.
Well, you've got to be that good too. And that's why we have the great communities. We have great people working here.
Definitely.
Questions, comments? A motion?
I
got a lot.
Is it my turn? I'll move staff's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Carling, seconded by Vice Mayor Branning, seconded by Vice Mayor Carling. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Welcome back, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to committee reports and our council report out and the matters initiated. Got anything?
I have a matters initiated. It was actually a pretty relaxing couple of weeks. Not too many events.
Easy for you to say.
Well, it was, got to see some friends and it was very nice. But for matters initiated, for June, I would just like to request that we fly the pride flag.
Okay. We got, we only have 3 nods. So. Yeah.
All right, and that's all I have.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, thanks. In addition to what I submitted, my reports, I also had the opportunity of participating in Read-In Day. And I went to Maryland Avenue School where my wife taught for many years. Maybe you know that. And was able to read to a 2nd grade. So it was great fun. I've done that in the past, but again, it's a wonderful event that we participate in here in the community. So Read-In Day on the 29th of March. Thank you.
And there's also the Read-In Day on Dr. Seuss's birthday,
Right.
which is another fun one. And so I participated in the Quest Science Innovation Fair at the fairgrounds. Beautiful all week, and then it rains on Saturday. You know, what was that about? I don't know, but it was still very well attended. Very exciting to see literally dozens of science activities, hands-on activities, and hundreds of children that are just fascinated and just so enthralled with this. The police department was there, the sheriff's department was there, our explorers were out there. That's where I saw the video on the drone. So a lot of really cool technology to try to get the young folks, get the next generation of scientists and technicians. And I ran across an interesting statistic that 90% of all of the scientists that have ever lived are alive today. So think about that. The technology that we have today, and so many people are doing research. Only 7% of all the people that have ever lived are alive today. So, but 90% of the scientists that have ever lived are alive today. And that just shows how remarkable the advancements are being made and how quickly they are for human knowledge. So,
How do you define a scientist?
so people that are engaged in it was Eric Gretman that wrote the paper on that.
Oh,
so,
okay.
but Guestman, Eric Guestman. He came up with it, and but it makes sense because when you figure that during the Age of Enlightenment, there were maybe a couple hundred scientists, people that are actually engaged in the sciences. Because back in those days, nobody paid you to be in the sciences. You did it on your own, the alchemists. But today we've got people that are in the business of technology and in the business of knowledge and science and big science like the laboratories. So very cool stuff. But it was a lot of fun watching that next generation, seeing that aha moment where they suddenly, ooh, this is really cool, because once they can see it, they can be it. So it's that was the Quest Science Center. Very exciting stuff going on. So with that, we lost a very dear friend recently. Marge Leiter was on the city council. She was on the planning commission. She served this community for decades, as did her husband. And she passed away recently. So I would like to adjourn this meeting in honor and memory of Marge Leiter. And we're adjourning to, are we going to a special meeting on the 29th?
No, Mr. Mayor.
No, okay, so it's going to be our next regular meeting on May 13th. So again, I'd like to adjourn in honor and memory of Marge Leiter. Thank you all.